We've seen quite a few movies made about pandemics in the past, but nothing could have prepared us for our reality this year. As COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc around the world, one of the biggest industries it's impacting is Hollywood. Home to America's movie-making magic, Hollywood, an industry that employs hundreds of thousands of people, is, like so many other industries now, in suspended action. The gates are locked, the lights are off, and the cameras are not in action. Hollywood, a $101 billion industry that supports more than 2 million jobs and 500,000 American businesses, has been disrupted. All movie production spaces have officially been locked down, and all talent, whether in front of or behind the camera, has been quarantined.
You stay home.
It's a tough time for the global film industry. Film festivals around the world have all been canceled or moved online. As cinemas close around the world, the industry is facing an uncertain economic future.
I think in times of crisis, I think we all know that it's the celebrities that we count on most. Right after healthcare workers, of course, first responders, people who work in essential services, ping pong players, mannequins.
It hasn't taken some movie makers long to adjust. We are already seeing a few new movies with storylines that revolve around the coronavirus pandemic.
Do you understand that there's a virus going around in this building?
I didn't know there's a coronavirus in the building.
Yes, no room. It's fine, get on, it's fine.
Corona is the first feature film on the pandemic, a low-budget, single-camera film shot in one take inside a broken-down elevator.
Does not taste my baby, okay? What the fuck is wrong with you, Josh? I'm protecting my life. This is how you all treat people, huh? This is what we do.
Another film now in the works is Sped, set 2 years in a future where the pandemic is ongoing and lockdowns are still in place. Produced by Michael Bay and directed by Adam Mason, Sped is the first major film to be shot in Los Angeles during the coronavirus lockdown. While it's unclear exactly how the team will pull off production, what is clear is that COVID-19 has accelerated transformations well underway in production, distribution, and consumption. And those changes may just cause the biggest shift in the history of Hollywood.
I see all this on the horizon. Technology is in its infancy, but it's building and it's growing faster.
When it comes to production, film studios and location sets are spaces typically filled with people. Crew and performers tend to work in close proximity and in frequent close physical contact. Think of makeup, hair and costume departments, and all the equipment that is routinely handled and passed between crew members. So how will everyone be kept safe?
And as the world is dealing with this unbelievable outbreak, I want you to know that we, SAG-AFTRA, are responding and taking action in real time.
The industry-wide Labor Management Safety Committee Task Force, which includes representatives from the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, the Directors Guild, has issued guidelines called for the entire industry to follow. The 37-page manual includes safety protocols on mandatory PPE for all, weekly routine testings, paperless sets, limiting in-person meetings, and each performer's time on set. COVID-19 has posed challenges that will reward creativity and innovation. Not only have many digital technologies been a cost-effective alternative in the past, but now they may just be life-saving. Many film productions have to engage in virtual production techniques. Automatic dialogue replacement, for example, is one of the final post-production process, where actors can record replacement dialogue remotely in one studio, which can then be dubbed over the live-action footage. Virtual sets, used largely in the past to save money from international travels, now mean the production teams don't have to be in the same physical space. The concept of studio in Hollywood is now the idea of a virtual workspace as opposed to an actual physical location.
Visual effects from Singapore, London, Canada, Germany, San Francisco, Los Angeles. As networks get faster and more robust, I'll be able to talk to all the artists, and it'll have the different countries up there, so they're all hearing me. I'll be able to do it all right there.
Speaking of physical locations, the value of going to one to watch has also been in steady decline. Pre-COVID, Hollywood was already moving towards digital distribution. Last year, digital distribution of movies from digital streaming platforms and video on-demand sales totaled to be around $48.7 billion. And theatrical releases came in at $6.9 billion. It was the first year that digital distribution overtook total revenues from theatrical releases.
Movies have been around for about 100 years, and the communal experience in a dark room shared with a bunch of strangers, that's not going away. But it's how that experience changes over time.
In the past, summer blockbuster revenues are essential for the Hollywood movie industry. For the past 5 years, from March to May, theatrical releases pulled in an average of $2.5 billion. According to July 2018's numbers from National Association of Theater Owners, there are 40,837 theaters across the U.S. The survival of movie theaters rely on physical attendance. $9.11 is the average cost of a movie ticket. Theaters only take about 40% of ticket price for movies. The rest of the income is from concessions. With only so many weekends in a year for each film to claim, the shrinking theatrical window has not only narrowed by 2 months, but the films that have been pushed back for a theatrical release are all facing an increasingly competitive streaming environment. The more a movie gets pushed back, the less likely it is for the film to make as much money as it would have made earlier in the year. Given the risks involved in launching a non-franchise movie into cinemas during such uncertain times, there is a growing trend of big studios bypassing the big screen to take a check from streaming giants like Netflix. This is a case of the upcoming films Masters of the Universe and Beverly Hills Cop 4. Studios with its own streaming services like Disney has decided to stream Mulan for an additional prize.
She's both beautiful and strong.
The live-action remake will be available for an additional $29.99 early access fee, on top of the regular $6.99 per month subscription on Disney+. The movie can also be purchased directly from DisneyPlus.com, as well as via platforms including Apple, Google, and Roku. Apple and Google take a standard in-app transaction fee of 30% from studios. Roku keeps 20% of sales on its platform.
Every family must contribute one man to fight.
Have you no son?
I am blessed with 2 daughters. I will fight.
It remains a question whether Disney will recoup its costs for the Mulan remake by releasing it solely on premium VOD, particularly if it's forking over 20% of the retail price to sales that flow through device partners. From production to distribution, the COVID-19 pandemic has imposed big challenges in Hollywood. Creativity, innovation, and the willingness to adapt are key for the survival of Hollywood.